Hey folks, Seth here. It's that time of year again. Guns Etc. huge anniversary event. This year it's on Saturday, October 24th only. There'll be tons of giveaways and one-day only discounts in the store. Over the years, this event has turned into a gathering of folks who love America and the right to bear arms. As you know, our world may dramatically change on November 3rd. Can you imagine what a Biden-Harris administration will do to the Second Amendment then? If you're concerned about that, make sure you visit Guns Etc. on Saturday, October 24th. For more information, go to gunsetcetera.com. And if you like these monologues, please subscribe to 960 The Patriots YouTube channel. Well, welcome back. Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. The problem with a protest or riotous movement in America calling itself ANTIFA or ANTIFA, short for anti-fascist, is that it is grounded in the idea that it is fighting fascism. Perhaps before we go further, it would be good to have a definition of fascism. Benito Mussolini, the movement's founder, wrote thus, quote, "A foundation of fascism is the conception of the state, its character, its duty, and its aim. Fascism conceives of the state as an absolute in comparison with which all individuals or groups are relative, only to be conceived of in their relation to the state." Close quote. An immediate curiosity arises then. How can the conservative movement of the Republican Party be the enemy of a movement that opposes the state as an absolute, a movement that defines individuals by their relationship and subordination to the state? Yet, as John Hinderaker points out, some American cities like Portland, Seattle, San Francisco are starting to look like Germany in the 1930s. Over the weekend, a free speech rally was held in downtown San Francisco. Those marching for free speech were attacked by fascists from Antifa. The scenes are bloody. But what is the part that looks like Germany? It's not the revolt against fascism. It's the work of modern-day brown shirts calling themselves anti-fascist. Brown shirts being the militia that helped Adolf Hitler take power, also known as stormtroopers. You know, the name Nancy Pelosi gave to federal agents trying to restore order in Portland over the summer. This has been fueled for years, especially as the phrase "the resistance" has been taken on by both Democrats and never-Trumpers alike. As Professor David Gelernter of Yale pointed out, resistance is unacceptable in referring to the Trump opposition because obviously it suggests the resistance against the Nazis in occupied France. Many young people are too ignorant to recognize the term, but that hardly matters. The press uses it constantly, so when a young innocent finally does encounter the genuine French resistance, he will think, aha, just like the resistance to Trump. And that's all the left wants. A mild but continuous cultural breeze murmuring in every American ear that opposing Trump is noble and glorious. We've spoken of this before, the reductio ad Hitlerum, making everything one dislikes an analog to the worst crimes against humanity and civilization abuse. Leo Strauss, who coined the phrase, put it this way: the reduction of everything one finds distasteful to Hitler necessarily leads to nihilism. That is to say, to the conclusion that every preference, however evil, base, or insane, would have to be judged before the tribunal of human reason as being as legitimate as any other preference. It leads to no good or true understanding of right and wrong. It reduces every small peccadillo to the worst forms of tragic and human failure. It does not even understand the word true because it does not acknowledge any particular values, no matter how base, as false. And it doesn't understand the word or ideology of fascism either. Is our movement more about the power of the state? Or are we confronting what Margaret Thatcher described in 1986? I quoted her yesterday. Socialists cry power to the people and raised the clenched fist as they say it. Socialists cry power to the people and raise their clenched fists as they say it. We all know what they really mean. Power over people. Power to the state. Close quote. Indeed, what is more fascistic? Supporting freedom of speech and freedom of the press or censoring it? All to be in line with a correct or enforced or coerced or unified way of thinking. Indeed, what is more fascistic? A movement that wants to limit the personal rights of the Second Amendment or preserve the personal rights of the Second Amendment? Indeed, what is more fascistic, a movement that wants to change the 25th Amendment in order to extra-constitutionally remove a president, or a movement that never even contemplates the 25th Amendment? Indeed, what is more fascistic, a movement that opposes elimination of burdensome and unnecessary regulations of the government, or a movement that wants less burdensome and unnecessary government regulations? What is more fascistic indeed, a movement that wants to change and erase history, or a movement that wants to preserve and teach it? At this point, it becomes pretty clear that what the fascist and Marxist communists have in common are, doesn't it? Now add race and preferred racial categories and classes. Now add religion. Now add family and the effort to, in the words of the BLM website until a month ago, disrupt the nuclear family, which of course is also what the Smithsonian uses to describe badges of one's race. And it is of course what never Trump soi-disant conservatives refuse to understand. S.E. Cupp, a self-described conservative of some long standing, illustrates this well with a tweet this morning. Responding to the accusation that never-Trumpers are Democrats, she responded, "We're not. We are patriots who believe in country before party, and the country must be saved because we love it so much." Close quote. So, to claim patriotism and love of country, she aligns with a movement that is trying to literally tear down our history via statues, and tear down our history by falsifying curricula over our founding. A movement that wants to reorient society by racial classifications. A movement that opposes the notion that America is great. A movement that refuses to denounce the resort to violence. It makes one wonder if words even mean anything anymore. And it got me to thinking, it reminds me of what George Orwell wrote in 1984. We know this quote, don't we? Already we know almost literally nothing about the revolution and the years before the revolution. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book has been rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street and building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And that process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History was stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. I think the most important phrase in that quote is endless present. We can come back to that. But no truer words have been written to describe the times we're living in now. But it also got me to thinking about something else Orwell wrote, trying to define the very word we speak of today, fascism. He wrote, quote, "It will be seen that as used, the word fascism is almost entirely meaningless. In conversation, of course, it is used even more wildly than in print. I've heard it applied to farmers, shopkeepers, social credit, corporal punishment, fox hunting, bullfighting, the 1922 committee, the 1941 committee, Kipling, Gandhi, Chiang Kai-shek, homosexuality, Priestley's broadcasts, youth hostels, astrology, women, dogs, and I do not know what else. Yet underneath all this mess, there does lie a kind of buried meaning. To begin with, it is clear that there are very great differences, some of them easy to point out and not easy to explain away, between the regimes called fascist and those called democratic. Secondly, if fascist means in sympathy with Hitler, some of the accusations I have listed above are obviously very much more justified than others. Thirdly, even the people who recklessly fling the word fascist in every direction attach, at any rate, an emotional significance to it. By fascism, they mean, roughly speaking, something cruel, unscrupulous, arrogant, obscurantist, anti-liberal, and anti-working class. Except for the relatively small number of fascist sympathizers, almost any English person would accept bully as a synonym for fascist. That's about as near to a definition as this much abused word has come. But fascism is also a political and economic system. Why then can we not have a clear and generally accepted definition of it? Alas, we shall not get one, not yet anyway. To say why would take too long, but basically it is because it is impossible to define fascism satisfactorily without making admissions, which neither the fascists themselves, nor the conservatives, nor socialists of any color are willing to make. All one can do for the moment is to use the word with a certain amount of circumspection, and not, as it is usually done, degrade it to the level of a swear word. And that, too, is exactly where we are. Fascism has been reduced to the level of a swear word. But there is one problem, given the analysis of those who claim to be so very much against it. And it comes from the problem of words losing their meaning as much as their degradation to the reductio ad Hitlerum. Why, for it turns out there really are no such greater fascists among us today than those who march and riot under the name anti-fascism. So let us please, Miss Kopp, go about our hard work as patriots who believe in country before party, because, indeed, the country must be saved, because we love it so much. The problem is you're marching on the wrong side of the street. I'm Seth Leibson. We'll be right back.